Good morning or good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. We're going to get started straight away. My name is Crystal Dobson and I am an account executive here at NGIS, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. So I'm just going to kick off with a little bit about NGIS, some of our integration capabilities and our partnership with Skyline. And we have Malcolm Doyle on the call as well, who is the GM of Skyline Globe Australia. And Malcolm's going to talk about the Skyline company, Skyline as a digital twin in industry, and some VR. And then we've got Nick Chai, who's a principal GIS consultant here at NGIS, and Nick will be giving you some examples covering local government and some mining ones in VR using Skyline. So a little bit about NGIS. We provide customised location intelligence and big data business solutions. So this can range from spatial strategies, cloud-based solutions. We've got quite heavily into analytics and machine learning. We do software development, integration and support. So we've been in business for over 25 years and we've worked with many industries and a variety of partner technologies. We love helping our customers redesign how their businesses access and use spatial data, and our independence and ability to innovate really and think outside the square ensures cost-effective project outcomes for our customers. So we've just got a couple of the industries that we work in. So we've got a long history of many award-winning solutions actually in these main areas. I think the reason why we've managed to be so successful in these areas because we are integration partners. So we view each customer's challenges independently, reviewing requirements, looking at their existing data and systems and what capabilities they want to deliver. And then we are able to tailor a solution that may potentially leverage multiple technologies for the best outcome. We partner with the most sound and advanced enterprise technologies around, including Skyline, which hopefully you'll learn a bit more about today. We have a big partnership with Google and also Esri. So we have imagery partners as well in Nearmap and Planet, and successful industry partnerships with groups such as Frontier SI. I think we've got some people from Frontier on the call today, all through which we have delivered technically sound, practical, relevant and high return solutions for our customers. So Skyline started as a gaming engine and has been used as a digital twin in the military for over a decade. NGIS have supported the use of this technology in a multiple array of industries by providing the design, the implementation. We do training, customization and support for our joint customers with Skyline. The intelligent digital twin solution is also complemented very well by our partnership with Nearmap and their extensive 3D imagery catalogue. So this catalogue is readily available through the Skyline platform. So this really shows the real power of being truly connected and giving our customers the ability to provide insights to multiple business units within one or across multiple operations. So I just wanted to touch on some points as to why, like what are the main reasons why a company would want to consider a digital twin for their business. So things such as, or the questions you might want to ask yourself, is your business driven by data? Do you want to be able to glean insights from or ask questions around that data asset? Do you want the ability to innovate, to potentially be able to prove out and test new ideas as they are thought of, and also in near real time. So taking advantage of your experienced operators and making sure that they can test out those theories as they're working through the day. Would you, for example, like to be able to measure or understand what impacts your bottom line to improve financial performance? Do you have teams, for example, that need improved overall awareness of your operations? Are you constantly getting feedback that maybe people aren't having the information at their fingertips that they need to be able to make insightful decisions? and also at a pace that's required of the business. So most of our customers that are using an intelligent digital twin at the moment, they're able to communicate effectively with their teams and subsequently improve the engagement they have with their stakeholder communities. So this is, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, we've talked a bit about what's the benefit of a digital twin, but what's the specific reasons why the Skyline NGIS partnership works very well in this space. We've implemented a number of these solutions for defence, mining, local government, emergency management. Obviously, utilities and infrastructure are hot in this space around maintenance and planning. And we find that the key factors clients are looking for, obviously, next level high performance visualization. Nobody has time to wait to render, for a render to finish on a large data set. We're so used to having these things respond very quickly at our fingertips. A true representation of the full picture and how things change over time. Customers want a solution that's commercial off the shelf. So they want effectively having advanced analysis capabilities out of the box that can be easily customized and be integrated with existing systems such as their existing enterprise GIS, for example. So outside of just straight 3D representation, customers want an intelligent digital twin that provides them with the ability to do what-if analysis on the fly and capabilities in near real time. So they also want the ability to innovate on top of that platform. So, for example, to see insightful trends and patterns that potentially were not previously identified. So the Skyline digital twin provides a common operating picture, which is military grade, an amazing rendering capability. It is a comprehensive solution, and we've managed to couple that with a very efficient commercial and implementation model. And then, of course, absolutely imperative, being able to make this data available centrally through desktop, web, and mobile apps. So that's it for me, for my bit. So I just wanted to pass over now to Malcolm, and Malcolm will talk about Skyline as a company and the components of the digital twin.
Thank you, Crystal. As you said, Skyline was founded over 20 years ago in the US, and at that time we worked mainly with the US military. Over the last 20 years, we've grown the business globally and expanded our customer base to mapping agencies, survey companies, local government bodies, and mining companies, to name just a few. We wouldn't have been able to do this without the help of our global partners, which I'm happy to say NGIS is one of them. So 20 years on, we're still true to our vision of being a true 3D GIS company with a suite of applications that sets the standard for 3D GIS. If we first look at building our world, which is where most people start, and we have applications there like PhotoMesh, which is our photogrammetry application, which creates high resolution texture 3D mesh models from standard photographs, which can be captured from high-end camera systems or by using a standard drone. TerraBuilder merges aerial photos and satellite imagery, digital elevation models into photorealistic, accurate terrain databases, which you can see is a great example of TerraBuilder in Nick's presentation later on today. TerraExplorer then is our, TerraExplorer is our 3D GIS application for viewing, querying, analyzing, and presenting the geospatial data in a high resolution 3D environment, as well as creating and publishing that 3D data for others to consume. So here's an example of PhotoMesh. It is the city of Orlando in the United States. It was captured by TrackAir using a plane with a very good camera system. As you can see with PhotoMesh, not only can we create high resolution mesh of the city, but with the same mesh, we can also get a high level of detail when we get down to street level. Some of our users are creating their own hybrid digital twin by being able to add their own PhotoMesh models created with imagery, captured by their own drone, and merged together with using TerraExplorer. We work with a lot of councils across Australia who use TerraExplorer to help them make informed decisions on planning. they're able to load a new proposed BIM model from developers into their digital twin and see the new building and how it will look in the environment. In the screenshot above, you can see a selected shadow tool being used on a new proposed building to assess the individual shadow this new building will cast across the city. Here you can see we have another council who are using their existing shapefile data to show the maximum height, building height within their digital twin, again helping them make informed decisions using their existing 2D data. Lastly, you can see here where Terra Explorer can use live traffic data to assist with future infrastructure decisions. So as you can see, we have a great set of desktop applications to help you create, edit, query, analyze your world in Skyline. Now I'm going to briefly cover our web application, Terra Explorer for Web. So Terra Explorer for Web is our lightweight 3D GIS viewer that enables you to view, analyze high-resolution 3D content in a web browser without the need for any plugins. It comes with a lightweight set of tools. For one of our most popular ones is the 3D viewshed tool, which quickly shows us what someone can see and cannot see from any viewpoint in the model. We can also use our profile tool within Terra Explorer for Web to generate profiles across the terrain. Lastly, we can use the real-time slope map tool and contour map tool inside Terra Explorer for Web with your digital twin. Moving on to VR, which is really one of the most exciting enhancements we have. We've been supporting VR since early July this year from Terra Explorer 7.1. We were able to do that using the Oculus Rift headset. You can fly through your digital twin with navigation being enabled with a 3D mouse concurrently today. In the upcoming release of Terra Explorer 7.1.1, we will support the new Rift S and also support navigation with the Rift hand controllers. I have to say, being able to navigate a city and query live data is a very, very exciting prospect for me. In January, with the release of Terra Explorer 7.1.1, we will also be releasing an open API to further enhance our VR support and allow people like Nick here integrate into our customers and current and future workflows. And with that, I'll hand over to Nick.
Hey guys, my name's Nick. I've been working in GIS for over 9 years now. Started my career working on a BHP mine site as an environmental advisor. So you can imagine I used GIS to do land approvals and that sort of thing while I was on the mine site. A little bit after that, I decided I was a bit tired of the FIFO lifestyle. I wanted to work back in Perth. So NGIS gave me the opportunity to come over and exercise my GIS skills and come back to work in Perth full time. So I did. So when I started my career in GIS, I was working mostly still with digital maps, moving away from paper, working with Google Maps and ArcGIS JavaScript API to make these 2D web maps. Then the industry moved on from there and they wanted 3D. So I started working with Google Earth Enterprise to develop these 3D maps and using ArcGIS. ArcGIS had a 3D product, ArcGIS Pro as well, both in web and in desktop. So working with that for a while, and then now again the industry wants to move ahead, and now we're looking at VR using Skyline, Terra Explorer, City Engine, or Unreal. So so there's my background. We'll just move on to the next one. All right, so typical Skyline integration. So everyone's familiar with your normal orthophoto format. So you've got your aerial photography, which will come in JPEG, ECW image, all that sort of stuff, and your elevation model, right? So your DEM and your formats that would normally come in would be in your GeoTIFF. So what we do is use the Skyline product Terra Builder to combine these two data formats together to create this single MPT globe. So this is a combination of both the aerial photography that you put in as well as your DEM, and that just creates the base terrain of Terra Explorer for the Terra Explorer client. Yep. All right, so here we've got a little video of once you've put your imagery and your elevation together into an MPT, and just how easy it is to just pull this single file into the Terra Explorer client and view your terrain in 3D. So we can host an MPT in the cloud through another Skyline product called Skyline Globe Server and have this streamable, or as you see here, we've got it just opening just the raw MPT file into the client. You can see an area like this with this much resolution and terrains. This is the whole Pilbara in 3D actually. More detail around the mine sites obviously, but this will be about 1.5 terabytes in size. All right, so the other base data that you're going to want to put into Terra Explorer is your 3D mesh. Now, Malcolm touched on this a little bit before. This is what you can think of as like a 3D photography. So this stuff's put together by capturing a whole bunch of drone imagery over a particular area, and then we feed this into a Skyline photo mesh product to produce this format called 3DML. 3DML works, in my view, it works similar to how the MPTs work. You can stream them through the web, and then it just comes through like a WMTS sort of tile service, comes through super fast through Skyline Globe Server, and you get these 3D infrastructure models. It's really good for cities, or maybe you have infrastructure on a mine site like an OPF or something like that. Nearmap is a 3DML provider, and we were lucky enough to get some of their data to show you now. So yeah, flick over to the video. All right, so this is a little sample of how we can add in 3D mesh. So once you've got it created, it's really just a case of navigating to it and then opening the .3DML file. You can see this is about 1 gig in size. This is a sample of the Nearmap data just over an area in Perth. Yeah, and just to show you, the 3DML isn't just for visualization. We can also do analysis on it. So I've just done this rough flattening of this house. Let's say we're going to flatten this terrain, modify it a little bit, and place a new house on this, or new building in this location, and see what that looks like. So just throw the model in and then position it in place. All right, so before we jump into the VR stuff, I really want to have a look at a few other analysis tools that we can run within a local government digital twin sort of context. So I just wanted to show you that we're not just dealing with a VR and visualization tool. It's also the Terra Explorer product is also able to stream in GIS vector data from other local sources. So if you've got KML files or shape files, tab files, all the local spatial data sources, you'll be able to bring them in. But not only that, you can also stream in data from cloud-hosted web sources, like if you're familiar with WFS services. You can bring in data from SLIT if you've got the WFS access through there, or you can bring in data through Skyline's own product, the Skyline Globe Server, or if you have, database services like SQL Server, you can bring all that data in. Super flexible. We'll also do a couple of things in this video. We're going to have a look at some of the analytical tools in the 3D Globe on top of a 3DML of the city of Coburn in Perth. So yeah, let's step through it. So in this scenario, you can see our 3DML of Perth, of city of Coburn. And we've got a guy living in this little apartment, and we want to have a look at how a new building in this lot next to him is going to impact his view in the area. So here we've got, this is obviously a building that hasn't been built yet. We're going to put it in this empty lot. And we want to have a look at how this new building is going to impact this guy's view from his balcony. Yeah, so this is our 3D view shed tool that we've got displayed here. And the green parts is what he can see from his balcony. You can see he's got a really good view of the park and of the train station. Maybe he likes to see people leave the train station, and we can see with this new building, his view of the station is completely blocked. You can see that really clearly using this 3D view shed tool. Okay, now we're having a look at the shadow tool here. So with the placement of a new building, we'd like to know how the shadows are going to be affected. Are there going to be shadows over the park? Is there going to be issues with that? You can see the shadows over this guy's apartment as well on the balcony is going to get a lot less rays. And not only throughout the day, but we can also do analysis throughout the year, because as you know, shadows change throughout the year as well. And finally, our last example here is just our walk mode, which is really great to see the impact of this building on the street. You can see it's pretty big there. And this gets enhanced even further when we start using VR, you can imagine. All right, so in the mining space, you can imagine when you go to a mine site, well, when you go to a new place in general, the first thing I like to do is have a look at Google Maps to see what's around me, especially like when I go to a new city or something, I want to know where my hotel is and then everything around my hotel, right? So on a mine site, we can't just do that. We can't just bring up Google Maps and have a look, because the mine's constantly changing and Google's obviously not going to be able to keep up with that demand. So we need a digital twin for the guys working on site to be able to come down and understand. Maybe they're coming down for the first time. They want to know where they're working on the mine, what parts of the mine they need to travel to and go around. So a digital twin is really important. And you can imagine, like, these guys, they work on generally a FIFO roster, that's fly in, fly out, if you're not familiar, and they'll be away for a week and then come back and they'll work for 2 weeks and then be away for a week again. Now the mine site's constantly changing, so within a week, a lot of the roads that they were using before might not be there anymore. So it's really important for them to understand how the mine's changed. So we're just gonna, so this is where we think VR is going to be really useful. So for familiarization of the mine site in terms of a return to site sort of point of view, so after a week they come back from R&R, they can have a look at the digital twin in the VR space and then get a really good understanding of how everything's changed. For new starters, you'd run through safety inductions. They get really familiar with how it looks like. They can really understand their new workspace, where everything is on the site, and be able to view that in VR is super powerful. And then as a communications tool, if you're trying to express a new idea, say you're going to dig a pit here, you're going to put a building over here, you want to understand what that's going to look like, how this new building is going to be impacting the rest of the site. And then project planning and analysis, stuff like you want to have, if you're going to put in a new building, you want to know what land you're going to clear, whether this new building is going to fit. You'll have environmental, tenure and heritage considerations. And then once that building's there, you'll probably want to communicate that with other teams so they can also have a look and see what that's going to look like once it's in place. All right, so here we've got what VR looks like. Malcolm said earlier that we're going to have controls coming very soon, but this is available right now using the Oculus VR headset. Very shortly, we'll also have support for Oculus Rift S headset, which give you a little bit better resolution, as well as the hand controls. But at the moment, this tour is just sort of a fixed tour that we created in the Terra Explorer product. And we've got our colleague Dion here, just giving it a trial run. So you might create a tour like this for your return to site employees, and then just have it fly around, kind of like an on-rails thing. They can't control where they're going, and just focusing on the parts of the site that have changed or just their immediate work area. So here you can see this is a train unloader model up at Port Hedland, and and we're just flying Dion through right inside the model. We can have full BIMs set up in the software as well, and all of that works in VR just out of the box. And you can see it was really just a click of a button to turn on this VR, and you just whack the headset on, make sure it's plugged in, and off you go. All the features that you would normally use in the client will work just the same in VR. So why have we chosen Skyline? Well, by far, it's probably the easiest platform to set up in terms of having a VR environment integrated into GIS. It's as you saw there, it was really just make sure your Oculus headset works, it's plugged in, and then you flick on the VR. Traditionally, before this was available, we were looking at having to get intelligent GIS data and then converting it down using another product into a format that would fit into Unreal, and then from there, which is Unreal is like a game engine, and then from there we'd create the VR environment, but we'd have to piece everything together because it's no longer spatially intelligent. With the Skyline product, we're able to have native support for DXF, WFS, shapefiles, tabs, SQL databases, integrates really well with ArcGIS and the other Esri technology. And then just turn on VR and it just works out of the box. It's really, really cool. On top of that, we've also got really flexible HTML and JavaScript info windows that you can click on, and we can configure to have a modern web features. Like we could have info windows on things that bring up YouTube videos. We could have tables and make it look nice, put branding in the info window. It's really flexible. And we've also got a really good .NET and JavaScript API as well that also works with VR. I haven't played with that personally, but I have made custom tools in Terra Explorer before as well using the .NET API. The other feature that we really like with the Skyline product is just performance, really. It's really the best terrain rendering performance that I've seen of most of all the other commercial platforms. And the only platform that I've found that has been able to handle the scale. So the scale for a lot of our clients is the entire Pilbara. And we can fit all of that in the single MPT file. So yeah, and that MPT file streams straight through SGS as like a 3D tile service. So just really incredible how it works. And then, yeah, GIS data streaming in VR is really, really nice, and not having to impose any overhead to get the VR to work at all.
Thank you so much, Nick. That was great. And Malcolm, now we've got a couple of minutes left for questions. So we've got a few through here. So I'll just go to that. The first one is, how does Skyline integrate site-specific UAV data with broad-scale terrain or mesh data sets?
Yeah, so in the same way, so we've got TerraBuilder to build our MPTs. So what we can do is have we can build those in TerraBuilder and just push that into a direct connect, it's called TerraBuilder project file, and immediately have that available to your users through Skyline Globe server. I'd have to show you how all that works, but yeah, super easy to set that up. You just build the terrain out of your UAV data.
Thanks, Nick. The next one was around remoted control. Does that work yet in this environment?
Currently with Terra Explorer 7.1, we have support for 3D navigation either by keyboard, which is like the gaming, forward, backwards, up, lower, or you can use the 3D mouse from 3D Connection, and with that you get full navigation around the whole environment. As I said, the next release coming out in January will have support for full hand controls with the API in Terra Explorer 7.1.1.
Thanks, Malcolm. The next one is just a query around the VR. So you mentioned being able to query live data using VR. Does this mean that all of the live data feeds in Terra Explorer can be viewed directly in VR as a near real-time view of operations? I'll hand that to you, Nick.
Yeah, so the VR in Terra Explorer is really just a different way to view your data. It worked like all the live data, it's all like it comes from the database, and it works just how you would expect any other map to work, right? So you could click on anything and it all works. So when you turn on VR, it's viewing that exact same data. Say you got asset positions or something that updates in the background, and you got like vehicles moving around, that sort of thing. All of that will just work as if it was working your desktop view, except the video feed just comes into your headset. So yeah.
Thanks, Nick. Another question, is there a maximum size for data sets for the overall models?
No, there isn't. Not well, maybe there is for like a single file format in Windows, but yeah, you can get huge. We got the whole Pilbara in 3D in about 1.5 terabyte MPT files, and we can stream that through the server. So it's no maximum size really that I've hit.
And it's sort of related to that question. Were there any size limitations with the VR deployment compared with the standard platform?
The standard platform.
Or maybe that's a question for Malcolm, if there's different models, different commercial models available, or if it's all just part of one?
It's all part of the standard product offering, which is Ter Explorer. As Nick said earlier, it's just basically there's a new VR button there. Once you are in the scene and you just click the VR button, the screen then goes from your desktop to the VR headset, and you just put the headset on and navigate away. So yeah, there's no extra charge for the VR function.
Great. So I might just pop in one more question, just around the pricing model. Do you have any comments on that, Malcolm, just in terms of what's available?
Yeah, I mean, pricing is, from Skyline, we are very flexible in the sense of we do subscription model pricing and obviously old style perpetual as well. And we have customers who use both of those licensing. But today with NGIS here today, we're actually launching a new bundle for local governments and mining companies, which is to give them all the tools that they'll need as one set price for the year.
Yeah, we might have just time for one more. So one more question's just popped through. Does the platform support HTC Vive headsets or just Oculus Rift?
At the moment, it's Oculus Rift and Rift S on the next release. The Vive and the Microsoft HoloLens are both on the roadmap. They will come along as they do, but the Rift is the main headset out there that we decided to go with first for the support, and then once we have that working, we can then support the additional headsets as well.
Thank you. Sorry, we do have a few more questions, but that's all we have time for today. So for those of you that didn't get your questions answered, we will follow up with you directly. So just to note, if you did think of any today following on, then you can email me through crystal.dobson@ngis.com.au. Thank you all for your time today, and we'll be sending out the recording over the next day or so. So have a great day. Thank you.